All right, so brace yourselves. We're just going to talk to you for 5 minutes. This is the hardest bit, okay? This is when we're going to tell you why we need Just Ice. We'll be brief, and then it gets a lot better after this, okay? So, why do we need Just Ice? Well, human trafficking is a horrendous and heinous crime, and it's happening here in London. In fact, it's happening in every city. It takes a vulnerable person, normally, and then it exploits them. I cannot comprehend why you would do that. Normally you use somebody's need, so they're vulnerable, maybe they're in a care home, maybe they've been starved of affection, or maybe they just need employment and they're from somewhere where there is no work and they cannot feed their family. And then you find that person and you exploit that need, you gain their trust, and then you promise them work. Now, I'm not going to go into trafficking because actually Just Ice is to help people that have been rescued. So let me tell you about Paul. Paul was rescued fairly recently as part of a big national police operation. He was put in touch with an anti-human trafficking charity, and they helped him do 3 things, which is what they always do. The first is find accommodation. The second is help with English, because mostly people don't speak English, because it's great. If you can traffic somebody into the country and they do not speak the language, you have them as your captive. They can't escape and they can't explain what's going on. And then thirdly, they help them with some sort of financial benefits. And then the idea is that these people can gain work, proper work, healthy work. But the problem is, say with somebody like Paul, he struggled with authority. Once you've been trafficked and you've been treated like that, it's very difficult to hold down a job. He doesn't come across well in an interview. He has a lot of problems. It's difficult for him to work as part of a team, to ever trust people. So for him to find legitimate work and therefore find recovery is near on impossible. So that's where Just Ice comes in. We see it as a stepping stone that maybe somebody like Paul would come and work with us for a year, maybe 18 months at the most. He could be supported, he can learn English, he can carry on his counselling. He wouldn't have to come every day because it's really hard to string 5 working days together to begin with. And then after that support, he could go into mainstream work and then somebody else could come through. Our motto is that Just Ice will be a voice for the voiceless and speak up for those who are crushed.
The second thing that's broken our hearts with Just Ice is the use of children as soldiers and weapons of war. And it's just a horrific story, really, isn't it? Turning innocence into evil it's beyond words and comprehension. It's impossible to accurately gauge, but estimates globally are that there are 300,000 children used in warfare, not just as fighting soldiers, but as cooks, as spies, as porters, and as wives for adult fighters. The common picture is of rebel militias in African states, and that is common, but it isn't limited just to Africa or to rebel states. Some state armies do it. South America, Asia, and the Middle East have child soldiers as well. How does an innocent child become a soldier? I will be really, really brief. Imagine an 11-year-old boy and his 12-year-old girl sister playing outside their hut in their village when the village is attacked by militia. They see their parents killed and perhaps some of their siblings, but they are spared, which is a euphemism for being recruited. They're brutalized, terrified. She might be raped and he might be beaten. And then they're placed under the authority of all of a 14-year-old boy who is their commander. And day by day, ruled by fear, numbed by drugs and alcohol, they are taught how to handle a weapon. And so these beautiful children are turned into weapons of warfare. And it's absolutely harrowing, and it breaks you on the inside. Some years ago, I don't know if you saw the film, I did. I was watching it at home, Blood Diamond. It's a Hollywood film, fictional tale, but based around the harsh reality of children in war and in the diamond trade in Sierra Leone. It's a DiCaprio film. You either love him or hate him, don't you? The opening 5 minutes were just barbaric, and I don't cope well with that kind of stuff, but I watched it through, And at the end, I sank to my knees and I said, God, what do you want me to do? And as clear as a bell, I heard, start a movement. Now, sadly, that was 8 years ago, and it's been simmering away on the back burner for that time until now.
So our hearts are for human victims who have been human trafficked and for child soldiers. So what do you do? Well, the obvious answer is you make ice cream, clearly. So this is where you're back to business again. We want Just Ice to be a champion of freedom, the joy of ice cream for the joy of freedom. It's such a heinous thing that actually, isn't it nice to just have something that's a bit fun whilst you're fighting something that's grim? So people, you've got more work to do. You've got 3 more flavours here.